All right, we are live on YouTube. Welcome to a very special late night episode of Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli. Glad you could all join me here tonight or on this late night, which is what I'm trying to say for this very special show. I'm not going to be on too terribly long, but I have some very important information to share that should set the record straight once and for all regarding my business that has been fraudulently duplicated by a former YouTuber out here. If you haven't heard the story, it's quite a long one. You can go back and watch my Walking with Purpose stream from yesterday on my other channel, Coach Eli, 2 Authentic Live Streams. Link is below in the description of that channel, and it'll pretty much catch you up. But yeah, there's just a bunch to talk about here tonight that will set everything straight. Before we get to all that, though, first of all, let me make sure that everything is rolling smoothly. Let me check out the back end of YouTube and make sure that it is rolling well. And it looks like it is. And let me also make sure that the notification has gone out. Looks like it has. And let me do a sound check here. Information to share that should set the record straight once and for all regarding my... All right. All is rolling well. I don't expect a whole lot of people to be here live, but I'm sure overnight and by morning, lots of people will view this, and lots of people are probably going to be surprised. Some of you probably won't be surprised. Yeah. Michael, I don't know. You were timed out by Nightbot, I guess, for emojis. I'm sorry about that. There is also a 1-minute delay between what I say and what goes out here. So if you chat in the chat, just bear with me. I'll respond to comments that are relevant as quickly as possible. So again, we're on my main channel earlier today. We were on Coach Eli, 2 Authentic Live Streams. First of all, I want to remind you folks, if you missed the show last night that I did on Coach Eli 2 with Dana, who runs the Adventure AZ channel, one of the best interviews I've ever done. Dana is a former alcoholic, and she's, overcome alcoholism, and she's just turned her life around. She shared her story, and it's unlike any other story I've ever heard. So you're going to want to go check that out on my other channel, Coach Eli, 2 Authentic Live Streams. That's the latest piece of content there. And then before that, earlier yesterday, I did the Walking with Purpose stream, which will share more information regarding this frivolous lawsuit that a former YouTuber out here has filed on me. Basically, her channel on YouTube was terminated for impersonating my business and the channel that my business has run out here on YouTube since 2015. She sued me for fraudulently taking down her YouTube channel for impersonation, which she was impersonating me. And basically, she thinks that I don't have any tax documents or tax records or a federal employer identification number or a seller's permit. She thinks that I don't have any documentation to prove that I've been running this business. I'm going to show you that documentation here tonight. So you'll be able to see it in black and white, and then you can decide for yourself what you want to decide or what you want to think afterwards. Okay. Now, what I will say here before I switch on over to the browser screen and show you these screenshots of tax records and other stuff to prove that I own the January Networking Association, I want to make you all aware that I have removed the private information. So I am not going to obviously share my social security number. I am not going to be sharing my federal employer identification number. And I'm also not going to be sharing the amount of money the GNA made in any given year. I have whited out all of that information. But that information does exist, and that information will be submitted to the judge when we go to court next month on March 18th in South San Francisco, California. So I'm letting you folks know right off the bat, these documents are the real deal, but I have whited out the confidential private information that will be submitted to the judge the day of court to prove everything, and they will be submitted under confidential status, which means the plaintiff will not be able to see that confidential information, and this will not be publicly viewable for the public to see on the court's portal because it's confidential. But those documents have been subpoenaed by the plaintiff, and even though I personally feel they are irrelevant to the case, I am going to disclose them because I'm sick and tired of being bullied over this. I'm sick and tired of people thinking that, I don't own this business. I'm just sick and tired of all the garbage. So like they say, hey, show the receipts. We're going to show the receipts. That's what we're going to do. That's what I'm here to do tonight. Nigel, good evening to you. Welcome. Uber Gigs, we already have your SSN. Oh, wonderful. That's wonderful, dude. So, would you like me to ban you right now, Uber Gigs? Jenny Sandler. Hi, Eli. I was up reading and got your notification. Well, wonderful, Jenny. Thank you for being here. Nigel, Sir, Coach Eli Melas showing his receipts. That's right. Now, again, these receipts, I have whited out my social security number. I have whited out my federal employer identification number, and I've also whited out the gross amount of money the GNA made during those particular years. That information will be available for the judge and the judge's eyes only on the day we go to court. Okay? And then I'm also going to be showing that I have a federal employer identification number and a California seller's permit. So, give me a second here. Let me check something out here real quick. Yeah, Uber Gigs, I'm going to tell you something. Uber Gigs, I'm going to remove you. All right. Now, let's go ahead and switch on over to the browser source, okay? Now, I'm going to have to turn off the chat for you folks to see this here. I'm turning off the chat just on the screen here, okay? You'll still be able to chat in the chat, okay? But before I do that, I want you folks to know that all of these forms, all of these screenshots are exactly the same, just a different year. Because I've been using TurboTax every year for self-employment and sole proprietorship to file my taxes, okay? So the GNA is one part of my taxes, and I also have some other income that's a part of my taxes, and I file it all through TurboTax. But that is irrelevant to this case, and it does not need to be shown. The only thing that will be shown here is that I've actually filed taxes for the last 9 years for the GNA since I got a federal employer identification number in I think it was 2014. I have it. You'll see it on the screen here in just a little bit. Okay. Before that, I was filing all my taxes under my social security number, and you can do that. But once you start to grow your business, you want to get a federal employer identification number, and you need one if you want to be able to open up any business financial accounts. You have to have a federal employer identification number. Nigel says, what puzzles me is why are those people wanting to use your company names? Well, they just want to troll me. They're seeking relevance on YouTube. And, they just, don't have any other content. That's the bottom line, Nigel. That's all this boils down to. This woman has been doing this type of thing on the internet with many other people for over 10 years on different platforms. And it's just about relevancy and to try to make some money off of it. But more so, it's about, wanting to feel important and seeking relevancy. And it's just really, really sad, right? You go as far as, I can understand a little trolling. That's fine. But if you're going to create business identity fraud, which is what this woman has done, then, you just take it a bit too far. And so, anyway, as you will see on the left side here, as you can see on the screen there, it says profit or loss from business. Sole proprietorship, okay? Schedule C, Form 1040. Name of proprietor, Elias Melas, Elias D. Melas. Principal business networking organization, business name, Genuine Networking Association, GNA, and below there is my address, which is my business address, okay? So everyone knows that address. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm putting it out there to show you folks this document is real, okay? Now, if I turn off the chat here, I'm going to turn off the chat. Jenny Sandler says, Eli is nicer than me, Nigel. It is because they are all losers who have no life. That is true. I can't deny that, Jenny. That is absolutely true. Okay. So if I turn this off there, you will see on the top right, it says 2014. Below that, it says Social Security number. White it out. Enter code from instructions. White it out. Employer ID number, EIN. White it out. Okay? And as you will see, let me show you this here. Hang on a second. On the bottom right there, gross income, white it out. I'm not going to publicly put that out there, but all that information you see whited out will be submitted to the judge. I have the actual copies of this, and I have the forms. I save everything. I keep great records. Okay? All of that information will be submitted to the judge on the day of court. So if you're thinking that I fabricated these documents, I will attest here, live on the air, under penalty of perjury, these documents are real. I've just whited out the information that is confidential and personal, and I don't want people stealing my identity and my social and my federal employer identification number. That'd be stupid to put it out there. And it's no one's business besides mine how much this business that I've run has made. But, for the judge to prove ownership of my business, should it come up during the court case, which I don't think it will, because the court case is about this woman suing me for fraudulently, taking down her YouTube channel for impersonation. It really has nothing to do with this, but I'm going to submit this because I want the judge to see that she's created business identity fraud. Plus, I've also countersued her for that, and I want to prove it. And now I can, and I will. Well, I've always been able to, but now, it's like, whatever. I'll show my tax documents. I don't care. I don't care, right? So these are all exactly the same, but if you look on the top right, the dates are going to change. So I'm going to scroll through. See now, there's 2015. You see Genuine Networking Association in the same spot on the left, right? And I'm not going to even, if I move out of the way here, see, let me move this. It's all white right there, whited out, the gross income, because again, I'm not going to show that, okay? Give me a second here. So that's 2015, 2016, okay? Go back to 2015, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and last year's taxes was 2022. This year, in 2024, we're filing taxes for the 2023 tax year. Okay? Those don't need to be filed until middle of April. Okay? We all know that. We know how taxes work, right? So there you have it. And again, if you want to question the validity of these documents, that is fine. You can do that. But I will submit the actual information that's been whited out to the judge and let them know this needs to be submitted under confidential status for no one to see but the judge and to not be publicly viewable. And you can do that. Okay? So that is that. Okay? Now, let me turn on the chat again. Let me see. Let me go back to full screen here. Banter is fair and square depending on the individual, but going as far as to create business stealing. Someone else's brand. Sorry, banter is fair and square depending on the individual, but going as far as to create business stealing someone else's brand. I think you meant to say that it's not right to do that. You didn't finish your sentence there. Maybe you ran out of space. Nigel says, I'll make sure not to upset yourself, Jenny. Jenny says, I agree, Nigel. They have taken it way too far. Jenny Sandler says, thank you, Nigel. Nigel says, boom. Okay. Let's go back to the browser source. Okay. Now, let me turn off the chat one more time. And we're going to get to the next screen here, which is going to be a copy of my federal employer identification number with the number whited out. I'm not going to put out my federal employer identification number out there publicly, but I will submit this to the judge, right? But for the woman that is, suing me, and now I'm countersuing her, I want her to see that this document does exist, okay? As you can see there, this is from the IRS, Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service. As you see there, on the left side, Elias Dimitri Melas, Genuine Networking Association, and then my address, which is also my business address, okay? And I'm not concerned about my address. Everyone knows where I live. People have doxed me. I really don't care. I've got dogs here. I've got security cameras. We've got neighborhood watch. And so I don't care. So don't come up with this, you like doxed himself bullshit. Nope. I put that out there on purpose to show the validity of this document. Okay. Look at the top right there. Date of this notice, 2/28/2014. Date of this notice, 2/28/2014. That's when this was issued. And then below it says employer identification number, and I whited that out because I'm not going to put that number out there. Number of this notice, CP575G. That's the same for everyone. That's just the form number. And then for any assistance, you may call, blah, blah, blah. And down below here, I just clipped the first part of the next page. We assigned you an employer identification number. Okay? Let me move this off to the side or to the top here. Thank you for applying for an employer identification number, EIN. We assigned you EIN, and then I whited that out. Yeah, see, the woman that's frivolously suing me tried to send me a copy of her federal employer identification number that she got in January of this year, 2024, and she whited out the top part of her EIN, but the part down below here that I'm reading, you forgot to white that out, ma'am. And that's why I was able to report your EIN to the IRS as a duplicate and as business identity theft. So we assign you EIN, and I'm not going to give that to you folks, obviously. This EIN will identify you, your business accounts, tax returns, and documents, even if you have no employees. Please keep this notice in your permanent records, okay? Now, if you haters out there or anyone else that this is relevant to think that I fabricated this document, I state once again under penalty of perjury, this document is real with the sensitive information whited out that will be submitted to the judge on the day of the court hearing on March 18th in South San Francisco, California. Okay? So there it is. This document does exist. Okay? Now, another document. If you're going to resell stuff, you need to have a seller's permit, also known as a resale number. And you need to get that from the state that you live in, that you sell in, right? Because if you sell out of state, things are typically not taxable. But within the state, they're taxable, and you can't charge tax twice. So if I wanted to buy some products that are taxable, okay, I would buy them without tax, then I would charge my customers tax, and at the end of the year, I would pay that money and file that part of the taxes with the California Tax and Fee Board, okay? And you'll see that on the next screenshot here, okay? Let's switch to that, okay? This is my seller's permit. It says, display conspicuously at place of business for which issued. California State Board of Equalization seller's permit. Account number. This was issued 3/30 of 2016. Look at the left there. And to the right of that was my seller's permit number. But again, I'm not going to put out my seller's permit number publicly on YouTube. I'm just showing you this document exists. And I once again attest under penalty of perjury that I will submit this document to the judge in the court with the actual number on the date of the hearing on March 18th. Down below that, Genuine Networking Association, GNA, Elias D. Melas, and there's my address once again, right? And then it's saying, is hereby authorized pursuant to sales and use tax law. So it's sales and use tax that you have to file every year. And even if you don't sell anything, you have to file it digitally online and state that you had 0 sales. And then you don't have to pay anything because you didn't collect any taxes and you didn't use your seller's permit number, right? Okay. So some years, I've had to use a seller's permit and other years I haven't. So that is that, but it exists. There is the form. You see it there. Let me turn on the chat once again. Nope. You do not have to have an LLC. I'm a sole proprietor. You do not need to have an LLC or incorporate. You can run a business as a sole proprietor. The fact that this woman she applied for a business license here in my city where I live in Redwood City. She did that to block me from being able to get that business license. I did not know I needed a business license. I've had every other document for years, but I didn't know I needed a business license for this type of business, or I would have gotten it. So she got that number here. She applied for that license here in Redwood City where I live to purposefully block me. So she knew my business existed. And then she used that to get an LLC and incorporate here in California. And I think she's doing the same thing in her state of Florida. The bottom line is it doesn't matter. Hold on a second. Nigel says, just imagine if they used that time and energy in creating these so-called businesses or business using your brand names. Yep. No business license equals no name rights to GNA. I'm sorry, you're absolutely wrong about that. You're wrong. A federal registered trademark will supersede everything. And Coach Jay, if that's you or if that's the woman that's frivolously suing me, I'll see you in court. Be prepared. Be prepared for fraud charges because that's what's going to happen. But you have some time to make things right. If you want to make things right, you have some time to, consider my settlement offer I made on my previous stream from my walk on my other channel, Coach Eli 2, yesterday. Let's see here. You can sit there and say, I have no business license. I did not know I needed one, and I would have gotten one. I have every other document. I got tax records, an FEIN, and a seller's permit. And you deliberately filed for a business license knowing I already own that name. So you can sit there and try to play that card all you want. Let's see what the judge says on March 18th in South San Francisco. Okay? And let's see what the judge says regarding my countersuit of $10,000 for business identity theft and fraud with the intention of intentional infliction of emotional distress. I mean, if you folks want to troll, you can troll all you want. But let me tell you something. Did one of them say they had retired and had plenty of money, then not long after post a video of them trucking? Well, I mean, that's Coach J. Coach J is a big liar. He lies about everything. He makes so many things up. And Coach J is the mastermind of all this. And quite frankly, if I was the woman that is frivolously suing me over this, right? I would definitely, say something about him. I mean, they're both wrong. And I have evidence of both of them, doing wrong here. And that will all be submitted to the court. They have no leg to stand on. They have absolutely no leg to stand on. I mean, this woman in January mailed me a copy of her federal employer identification number and said that she would not have been able to get it if I already had one. That's not true. The IRS system doesn't, have a way to determine duplicates. Okay? But if it's determined that there's a duplicate, then that's not right. And, she was saying, she offered me a settlement agreement saying that, that's fine. If you don't take my settlement offer, then we'll go to court. And because you don't have these documents, no, I have them all. I do. I just showed you them. They exist. And they exist. So that's fine. I just wanted to put this out there because I'm really, really tired of these shenanigans. I'm tired of this game. I'm not seeing any trolls. Maybe you're blocking them so fast. Of course I am. Of course I am. I mean, this is 100% intentional fraud to seek relevance and make content out of it on YouTube. And, like I mentioned on my Walking with Purpose stream on Coach Eli 2 yesterday, I've got 3 statements from people, and one of the people that sent me a couple statements also sent me a video. So I've got that. I've got the federal employer identification number, the seller's permit. I've got all the tax documents, right? I've got 2 domain names for over 10 years, genuinenetworkingassociation.org and genuinenetworkingassociation.com. Okay. And many other things. Jenny Sandler says, Nate, we are not blocking them. They spontaneously combust. That's pretty funny, Jenny Sandler. That's pretty funny. Let's go back to full screen here. What was the settlement offer, if you don't mind me asking? Well, the lawsuit, my countersuit, I filed it a few days ago, and I served her yesterday, so she's been served. I countersued her for $10,000 for business identity theft with the intention of intentional infliction of emotional distress. The amount of time and effort this has caused me to report all this. Oh, by the way, I also mentioned this, and this is something I will submit to the judge, but not put out publicly. I did file a police report a few months ago with Redwood City Police regarding this, after contacting a certain branch of the California government that handles these things. So there's also a police report that will be submitted as well. But the settlement offer was this. The settlement offer was, one, that she drops her original lawsuit, which, I mean, she is suing me for fraudulently shutting down her YouTube channel for impersonation. She impersonated my GNA channel since 2015. She used a similar star logo and the same business name. YouTube shut her down for that, and then YouTube also denied her appeal. The pro, so will yours. Wait, you don't have one, loser. My ex-girlfriend will be a witness. That's great. Wonderful. She can be a witness. I'm a good guy. You're just triggered because you have no leg to stand on, Coach J. Look, I know Miss T sleeping right now. Coach J, you're up. You're up this time of the night. And you're super triggered, Coach J, because once again, you failed miserably to try to take me down. You went way too far this time, man. Way too far. So the first part of the settlement offer was to drop the original suit. The second part is she needs to cease and desist anything and everything to do with her illegally duplicating my business. She needs to shut down her website. She needs to cancel her LLC and incorporation with the Secretary of State in California. She needs to also cancel her business license here in Redwood City. Okay. And anywhere else that she's using the January Networking Association name, she needs to also, contact the IRS and change her federal employer identification number. I've already reported that, and they're probably going to cancel it anyway, but she needs to basically cease and desist using my business name. That's number two. Number three, she needs to agree to a permanent stay away order online and offline. She can never talk about me. She needs to stay away permanently. That's like a restraining order for life, and that needs to be signed off by the judge that would be presiding this case. And number four, after all that's after all of that is agreed upon, if it is, then instead of $10,000 in damages, I'll cut it in half to 5. If we go to court, then it's still going to be $10,000, right? That's my settlement offer. Now, other people have been saying I have to give her something as far as a settlement offer. No, I don't. I don't have to give her or anyone anything. I can make any offer I want to try to settle it out of court. What I did was I said, hey, I'm willing to cut the damages in half if you're also willing to do what I mentioned. That's called a settlement offer. And if you don't think that's settlement offer, or if you don't think that is a settlement offer, then that's on you. Michael Burrows, Is it illegal for her to have the same business if she doesn't do business with any of your customers? Nope, it's not. It's not, because it's my trademark. And even though my registered trademark is pending, I had a registered trademark for the first 6 years I was in business. And it got canceled because I made a clerical error. I didn't update their request. At the 6-year mark, you have to do some paperwork with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And I was so busy during that time and dealing with so many other things that it slipped. So they canceled it. And I've reapplied. I reapplied a second time, and there were some other issues, and I had an attorney helping me, but they basically, canceled my second application. And now I realized why they did that. So I've reapplied again, this time doing it the right way. And I'm in a trademark pending status, and my trademark should be approved by the end of this year. They're kind of backlogged right now. Yeah, of course I'm going to keep this stream up. He is triggered with those Cheeto dusted fingers of his. Who are you talking about? Are you talking about Coach J? He's super triggered because he's the mastermind of all this, and honestly, I honestly think he should pay just as much or pay legally just as much as Miss T. Yep. But anyway, I'm really tired, folks. I wanted to put out this stream very quickly here, just to show you folks that I do have tax records. I keep very good records. I do have a federal employer identification number since 2014, a seller's permit since 2016. That's more than enough proof. And I've got statements from people. I've got website domain names. I've got everything. Okay. And just because I didn't know I needed a business license in my city doesn't allow someone on YouTube clear across the country in Florida to, file for a business license under my longtime business name. I mean, come on. You think a judge is going to think that's coincidence? Absolutely not. And like I said, another part of the settlement offer is that you won't have to deal with fraud charges. If we go to court and it's not settled before the court date, then at that point, I'm going to ask the judge, am I able to press fraud charges regarding this based on the evidence presented? And if the judge allows me to press fraud charges, I will press fraud charges. I'm not kidding. So, it'd probably be in the best interest of the party that's suing me and potentially her business partner that's helping her run the website, Coach J. It would probably be in both of your best interests to start doing the right thing and dissolve this business and settle with me, and let's move on. That's all I got to say. That's my settlement offer. Okay. So that is that. I don't have a whole lot more to say. I put it all out there. Okay. People can think what they want to think. I really don't care. This is my business. I've been running it for well over 10 years, and I've got all my ducks in a row. Okay. I had no idea that I needed a business license in Redwood City. And that doesn't give someone the reason to come in, and apply for a business license under my existing business name. That's fraud. Totally fraud. I mean, let me pull the chat real quick before we go off the air. Okay, there's a 1 minute delay, so I have to wait. If you feel this is fraud being created, put a 1 in the chat. If you feel this is fraud, put a 1 in the chat. I'm going to wait for a few minutes. Yes, I am. Theirs. Yeah. Yeah, no. Coach J knows that he pushed this one way too far. Even Miss T knows she pushed this way too far. They have not been talking about me at all because they all they've done is threaten me. All they've done is threaten me on some public streams and even an unlisted stream that Miss T did last week on YouTube on a channel she shouldn't even have, because now she's circumventing. On the Not Yet Business channel, she made some pretty heinous threats. So maybe she's thinking about, that. Fraud won, says Jenny Sandler. Yeah. Fraud won. Yeah. Yeah. Just going to wait for another minute or so, and then we're going to go off the air. I'm sorry, folks. I'm losing my verbiage. I'm a little bit tired. But yeah, I put it all out there. Nigel says 1. Sean Robinson. Sean Robinson. Sean Robinson, I mean, honestly, do you have anything better to do than troll on multiple accounts? I'm not going to even waste my time. I'm going to go get some rest. And, yeah, I'm going to get some rest. And there you go. The information is out there. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. If you don't want to do the right thing and settle this, then we'll just go to court and we'll settle it there. It is what it is. At the same time, I'm no longer going to be belittled by a group of people on the internet that are supporting the woman that's creating this fraud and this other guy, Coach J, that's helping her create this fraud. I'm not going to be belittled. I'm going to defend myself, and I'm going to set the record straight. And you folks are just going to look like fools. Thanks, Eli. Get some rest. Please please give Don my best. Absolutely. Take care, sir, says Nigel. Thank you. With that being said, have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other.